ODA 595, is moving into a new home with his wife and daughter, after receiving an assignment to staff duty under Lieutenant Colonel Bowers. As news of the devastating terrorist attacks that day on World Trade Center, Captain Nelson volunteers to lead ODA 595 into Afghanistan. Bowers initially refuses, but veteran soldier Warrant Officer Chief Hal Spencer, previously scheduled to retire, persuades Bowers to give Nelson command of ODA 595 again, as well as volunteering himself for the deployment. After leaving their families, ODA 595 travels to Uzbekistan. After being briefed and evaluated by Colonel Mulholland, commander of 5th Special Forces Group, Nelson and ODA 595 are picked for Task Force Dagger to fight alongside Northern Alliance leader Abdul Rashid Dostum. ODA 595 is inserted covertly in Afghanistan aboard an MH-47 Chinook flown by 160th SOAR. They land 40 miles south of Mazar-i-Sharif, the country's 4th largest city and a longtime stronghold of the Taliban, where they meet Dostum. 6 of the 11 members, led by Nelson, leave with Dostum to the mountains, while the other 5 remain in a fortified camp nicknamed the Alamo under Spencer's command. Dostum is attempting to capture the northern Afghanistan city, while battling Taliban leader Mullah Razan, who rules local communities brutally under strict Sharia law, and has murdered several people, including Dostum's family. Although the warlord is initially skeptical of Nelson's abilities, Nelson gradually earns Dostum's respect. In one battle, however, Dostum makes a tactical error, costing several casualties. Nelson accuses Dostum of acting carelessly with the lives of his men and of withholding valuable information, while Dostum retorts that he still feels that Nelson and the US are not willing to pay the potential price of the conflict, and tells Nelson that he needs to use his heart and mind to be a warrior instead of a soldier. The two eventually reconcile, and, after splitting off a 3-man element under Sam Diller to strike a Taliban supply route, and being joined by Spencer's half of ODA 595, continue to work together. They win several victories with Dostum's leadership and manpower and American airpower, making significant progress towards Mazar-i-Sharif. Suddenly, however, Spencer informs Nelson that another ODA 555 has been dispatched to support Atta Muhammad, another Northern Alliance leader, who is Dostum's political rival. When Nelson is forced to tell Dostum, the furious warlord and his men promptly abandon ODA 595. Following Dostum's departure, Captain Nelson plans to continue operating against the Taliban with his team and the few Afghan fighters remaining with them. Encountering a large force of Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters and armored vehicles, ODA 595, rejoined by Diller and his element, uses air support to eliminate many of the fighters and most of the armor, but are discovered and attacked. Spencer is critically injured by a suicide bomber, and the team is about to be overrun under heavy Taliban and Al-Qaeda pressure when Dostum returns with his forces. Captain Nelson and the rest of the ODA 595 beside him charge through the enemy. ODA 595 and Northern Alliance forces disperse the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and Dostum tracks down and kills Razan. After Spencer is medevac, Nelson and Dostum continue to Mazar-i-Sharif but find Atta Muhammad has beaten them there. Against expectations, Dostum and Muhammad meet peacefully and put aside their differences. Impressed by Nelson and the Americans' efforts, Dostum gives Nelson his prized riding crop and tells him that he will always consider Nelson a brother and fellow fighter, at the same time bidding him remember that Afghanistan is the graveyard of empires. Spencer ultimately survives, and all 11 soldiers of ODA 595 return home after 23 days of almost continuous fighting in Afghanistan.